185 miles south. A hardcore punk rock podcast.
Hey everyone, this is a cool episode. Todd Jones is one of my oldest friends in punk and hardcore, and it was fun to talk about the old days. We kind of came up together, and it's fun to reminisce about a lot of stuff. So stay tuned for that. If you want to support the show, please like, rate, review, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Please share this podcast on social media. Or call up your friends. You know, maybe you got some friends that haven't listened to hardcore in a long time, but fuck, they want to reminisce of us of old times. You know, sometimes people like to listen to this stuff when they're commuting to their work or whatever, and it's a fun thing to bring old friends together. If you really want to support the podcast, you can go to patreon.com/185milessouth. And become a Patreon. You can contribute $1, $3, $5, whatever you can do a month. And that is much appreciated. That helps me out big time for the costs of doing this, which seem to just build. And also with that stuff, you know, it's like a monthly thing that you're helping out, but you can cancel at any time. Don't feel obligated. You know, if you want to just shoot me $1, sign up, give your $1 and cancel that shit. Fuck it. Anyway, here comes the man, Todd Jones. This week we have Todd Jones from every band ever. Stand Ground, Carry On, Terror, Internal Affairs, Betrayed, Snake Eyes, Blacklisted, Nails, Knife Fight, Fireburn.
Yeah, Fireburn.
And a million others like that. We played drums for the Riverbottom Nightmare Band for a show.
I don't remember that.
No, didn't you?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No, I didn't know those guys. I don't think I knew those guys.
Okay, there was someone you filled in for. Now, one thing that I think is wild about your career is that do you think your first band, Initial Distrust, is actually the most similar to your current band, Nails?
I can't believe you even brought that up.
Isn't that wild, though?
Nah, man. You know what? I mean, the thing is with Initial Distrust, I think we were so young, we didn't know what we were doing. And Joel looked like a crazy punker, like a crust guy, but I don't even know those. I don't even know. I can't even remember what those songs sound like.
Well, I only know the song on the Localism comp, and that's very crusty sounding, but also like kind of catchy.
I can't even remember that song.
Yeah, Joel had a vision, though.
Joel had a vision. Honestly, man, I think Terror is probably the closest thing I've done that sounds closest to Nails.
Just sonically, it's big.
Yeah, like the Low So Low record, like that's really fast. Nick came from like a punk background, so he played super fast drums and lots of punk beats as opposed to maybe some hardcore beats that other people would have chosen.
Yeah. When do you pick up the guitar the first time? How old are you?
11 years old, November 1992. I was super into what was popular, which was Nirvana, Nevermind, and the Black Album by Metallica. That's like what set music off for me. Like, you know, probably about that same year. I mean, I wasn't into music too much farther before that, but I was lucky because, you know, my father was a musician, and I was listening to the music, and I was paying a lot of attention to MTV and the bands that were on there and stuff like that. And for some reason, one day I saw the video for Nirvana's Lithium, and I've seen it 100 times before that, but for some reason, Chris Novoselic jumping around with his bass seemed like fun.
Yeah.
So I was like, Dad, I want to play bass, and he got me a bass that he had, and he, you know, showed me how to fret it and play it, or at least, you know, so I could start. And within 2 weeks, I was like, this isn't really making that many cool sounds. I want to give a shot at guitar.
Yeah.
And he had a guitar laying around. I just kind of went with that. He showed me, like, you know, open E, open A, all the open chords, a power chord, and shortly after that, I found at the music store a Master of Puppets tablature book. So that's kind of how I learned how to play guitar.
And did you actually like follow the tabs?
Yeah, I mean, it took me a long time to learn them. I couldn't listen to the song and play it as it went, but I could.
Did your dad know how to do the tab stuff? Did he like give you a kind of like, here's how you read this?
He probably did, but I don't remember that so much. I mean, I think, tablature, it's like, you
it
see the
shows
numbers.
you.
It's kind of easy. It's almost a common sense thing. But as far as reading music, I mean, I still can't do that today. My father didn't know how to do that then either.
Yeah, and your dad took you to see Nirvana.
That's right.
Yeah,
wow.
at the Forum, right?
Yeah, you remember that. Yeah, dude, I've seen 2 shows at the Forum ever in my life. They were both on December 30th. One, 1993, which was Nirvana, Butthole Surfers, Choke Bore, and Bobcat Goldthwait doing comedy in between the sets.
What the fuck? Yeah. Were you like old enough to even take that in? Because he's kind of out there.
Well, I was 12.
Yeah.
So we're talking December 93. I had just turned 12 like 2 months earlier. So I was really too young to know his humor because it is kind of like dark and mature and like maybe obscure. Like I remember he made like an Axl Rose joke and the whole place exploded.
Sure, that's the one they could get.
Yeah,
Axl's crazy.
Fucking Guns N' Roses. Yeah. But yeah, and then the last show I saw the Misfits there like last year.
Whoa, that's
was
awesome.
Really fun.
I saw Iron Maiden there and I saw Van Halen there about 20 years apart. I gotta close that window.
Holy shit! Yeah, we can hear the airplanes.
But now we're gonna bake.
That's okay. We'll be all right. What year was Van Halen?
I think that was 92 because my dad was taking me and it got delayed because of the LA riots.
Okay. Yeah, right on.
So cool. the shit got canceled and it was like 6 months later. We went and that was cool. That was Van Hagar. But it was like loud as fuck. And now I just wonder if things are that loud anymore. Like, are we just deaf?
Yeah, we're just deaf.
That's what it is, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because 12-year-old ears taking in something like that is out of this world.
I think so, and it being like one of the first times you're exposed to music that loud, it's absolutely it's just a new experience.
It was blistering.
Yeah.
It was like, what did Nirvana sound like to you? Could you take it in?
Yeah, they sounded awesome. I was just so young, that was probably my second or third concerts I've been to at that time. Like my father took me to go see Los Lobos and Etta James and stuff like that. But as far as like a concert I wanted to be at, when we were going to for myself, that was the first one. And I think I was just in shock, man. I mean, I looked up to, well, not looked up to, but I worshipped. At that age, you don't really look up to people or bands. You're just kind of in awe.
Yeah.
Like I loved Nirvana and I loved Kurt Cobain and I loved Dave Grohl's drumming. And I think I was just so enamored just by being there and being in the moment and feeling like, wow, this is amazing. This is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you could play that stuff already, right?
Yeah. I mean, I talk about this all the time to some pals of mine, but I think that was a really good era to get into guitar. Mm-hmm. And especially being the age that, I was. You're a little bit older than me, but same
only
age
1 year,
group.
I think.
Yeah. Okay. So, learning guitar to Nirvana is pretty gratifying because you don't need to practice too long to be able to mimic it.
And you see the level of success they have.
Yeah.
So it's like sky's the limit with just being able to be a songwriter.
I suppose so, but at that age, I was just concerned with learning how to play correctly and not necessarily writing songs, but just, I don't know, being a kid and just being psyched on stuff.
Yeah. So your first band, though, is Initial Distrust. And you meet those guys in junior high? Or you knew Tony because Tony's your cousin.
Tony's my cousin. Prior to that, I had jammed with Tony, and it made me think of this recently because I recently heard Nick Olmar died. Rest in peace, Nick Olmar. I jammed with Nick and Sean Cisneros and Tony, and I don't know what happened with that, but shortly after that, Tony and I and Joel and Eric.
Okay.
What was Eric's last name?
Barker.
Barker, right? Yeah,
the Barker twins.
Yeah, we got together and in a garage, in Josh Poole's garage, in Orion Azard's garage, and once every week, and we would just try to write songs and play songs, and we were basically just mimicking. We didn't know what we were doing. We were just basically trying to mimic the things we were listening to at the time, which is a lot of Minor Threat, and a lot of those Epitaph bands and stuff like that at the time.
Just fast riffery, and then Joel going
pretty much
trying to be Darby Crash.
Yeah, pretty much.
It was kind of a sick mix, though. I don't know if you could recreate it now if you tried.
Oh, I don't. Thank God, nobody wants to hear that.
Yeah. So the first time you ever make it to vinyl is our band that we did after Initial Distrust. We did a band called It Doesn't Matter, And that was the first time you like recorded too, right?
That's
like
correct.
went to like the living room and shit.
Yeah, that was the first. Yeah, that's absolutely right.
What do you remember about it? Anything?
Yeah, I remember driving in the car. You had a Camry with your girlfriend at the time, and we drove up to the living room in Goleta.
She was fine as fuck.
Dana.
Yeah,
she was easy on the eyes. I don't remember.
That's why I didn't go to shows for like you. You probably started going to shows like a year before me.
You were a little bit of a hermit. Yeah, you always hung out in your house, with Dana.
Yeah,
that's cool.
She was hot.
Hey, I got. Yeah, so yeah, we drove up there. We recorded. I remember we set up live and recorded live, and then you did the vocals afterwards. Mm-hmm. And it was just a really rad experience. I was excited to go to the living room, partly because not just to record, but because that was a venue that at the time was, that was one of the venues that we went to all the time. And that was the first time I ever went there. I didn't go there for a show. I went there to record. So I was excited just to be in the room and just, and of course be doing what I was doing, which was recording. And
yeah, I think I had only seen the flyers. I don't think I'd been there yet.
Exactly. Yeah. That's how it was for me as well.
Yeah. So it's super exciting. And then just to get your music and listen to it. And it's weird because like, listening to yourself, you never know how you're going to sound. And then it sounded pretty good, like the 3 songs that were fast, and like the 2 other ones were like whatevs.
Yeah, I mean, it did sound good. That was a great spot to go to because I think it was $15 an hour.
It was $10 the first time we went.
Okay, $10 an hour.
Yeah.
And yeah, when we walked out of there with a mixed cassette of 3 or 5 songs we did.
Yeah,
and
probably for like $60.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, it's insane.
Great experience.
Yeah, and then you do what may have been the first Oxnard hardcore band, which would have been Last Chance. Because that predates Voice. Your band with Scoops.
Of our era?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the late
like
90s.
If you wanted to trace back, like what was the first band that was like playing hardcore music, like as we know it?
Oh, as we know it.
Yeah.
Like from our scene.
Yeah, from our scene. Because this is kind of the start of building from scratch.
Okay, right.
Don't you think?
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, I just never really thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Like I always thought In Control was like the first like of our era like hardcore band.
I would say Voice. No? And I would say this predates Voice.
I'm not trying to say anything negative or anything, but like In Control like put out records and went out and toured. Like Voice of Defiance definitely had like a 7-inch, and I think Pastas, I don't know how to say that.
Another one came out later
after the band was broken up, but
as far as
you're right. Yeah, you're right. From like our scene, definitely the Voice of Defiance was probably the first one to, to be good.
Well, that's what mattered first, right? Is building up a scene at home.
Yeah.
And being able to draw.
Yeah.
And Voice of Defiance and then Stand Your Ground were both able to do that. Like, draw 100 kids.
Yeah.
And that's important. I think that before you, like, now access to being able to record and tour is so easy. I think people should draw 100 kids at home, Yeah,
I absolutely agree. I mean, that's a mindset you and I definitely, I think that's very of the time we came up, though, we were very, because we had to do those things. And, I mean, that's one of the things I did with Nails, too. When we started Nails in 2008, I was very adamant of playing shows before we put out music because I didn't want to be, it was very of the time then to just put out a Bandcamp link or put out some songs and then hopefully your first show's nuts. I was like, no, I want to do it the other way around. I want people to, not a lot of people because we were playing small shows. Nobody had ever heard of us, but, I wanted to establish ourselves as somewhat of a live entity before we're just putting out records and making T-shirts and all that bullshit. So I'm right with you on that one for sure. I think it's important. Bands should be able to, draw in their hometown and do that thing before they try to conquer the world.
Yeah,
I always thought that was weird.
Yeah, and so Last Chance was just like a blip, but it was nice because you got Phil into music, and then I used Phil for voice.
Well, I think Last Chance was definitely significant to us, the people that were in it, and the people around us in regards to just us trying to figure out how to do things. You know what I mean?
Well, and it's when your riffery started, like the super fast left hand, right? Because think about that Rodney riff.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
it's like, what the fuck? That's like some left hand shit.
Yeah, I was trying to play guitar. I was trying to do it, and Kevin was always a good drummer. I remember being blown away by listening to Kevin play drums. By it doesn't matter rehearsing, you know, back to when, not to go back to when I joined the band, but I always thought it was fun playing in Last Chance. I mean, it was a lot of fun, and Phil was awesome bass player, and yeah, I mean, I think you and Phil kind of hung out more than me and him did, though.
I loved Phil.
Yeah, Phil's sick, man.
And then he had a interesting perspective on hardcore too. Like, he was really into like Mouthpiece and Outspoken, and that stuff's like, it feels a little darker.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. He was more attracted to that stuff, while I was probably more attracted to bands like Youth of the Day and Chain of Strength. And you liked all that stuff too.
Yeah, I liked the mix, and then also like kind of like the weirder tough guy stuff.
Yeah, we loved One Life Crew.
Yeah,
Crime and Society.
One Life Crew and Madball. And
yeah. That, you know what? Yeah, you brought a lot of that to our circle. It's interesting. You know, pointing out Phil and pointing out everybody, because I guess I have thought about that. Everybody in our immediate friend group brought something interesting to the table, and especially at a time when internet wasn't rampant then. Yeah,
well, there wasn't internet yet. I mean, maybe there was low speed internet, right? Like
there was
AOL.
Low speed internet, and you were one of the only people who I knew at the time who was, you know, out there learning about newer bands. Like, you had the Death Threat demo.
Yeah.
You brought that to the friend group. That's how I knew Death Threat.
Yeah, Larry sent it to me, the bass player.
Yeah,
because I met him on like AOL chat. I met him on AOL chat, and I was like, "Oh shit!" And when that Death Threat demo came, my God, dude, it sounded just like Hatebreed with like different vocals.
I thought it sounded like Hatebreed mixed with Youth of the Day, which is maybe a bad reference now, but when I was 16, it made so much sense,
dude. If a band sounded like it makes me Hatebreed and Youth of the Day, I would fucking love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, because like the influencers are coming from the same place.
Yeah,
you know, it's like whatever. But yeah, that's super cool. And the first hardcore band that you do the records is Standing Ground.
Yeah, I would say so.
And you go back to the living room and you do a demo.
Yeah.
And that was cool. It was like very well thought out. Like, it's like the full J card, professional. I think you had the demos professionally pressed.
Corey brought that. He was really good. He was the only person at the time that I knew who even knew Photoshop whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And he was, he made like a good looking logo and a good looking cover and printed them out. And there was a tape duplication place in Chatsworth that you just go drop off a DAT tape and they give you however many cassettes you ordered. And we just wanted to make something that looked cool.
Yeah. And I remember when you guys started, I was so excited because now there was two of us. There was two bands, and like now we're starting a scene.
That's true.
Because it's weird now in hindsight, and I don't want to talk about anything super negative, but when you look at it now, like the scene is totally united and everyone's like super cool. Mm-hmm. But at the time that we were doing this, no one was helping us.
That's absolutely right.
Like, no one was helping us put on shows, and we were like, I mean, I remember you and me going around like in my car, just trying to talk to like every little like bowling alley, every little nook and cranny. Like, can we do a show?
That's right. I thought about that this morning. You and I used to drive to places that if they looked like we could potentially have a show there, we asked them if we could have a show there. And now thinking back on that, I'm like, we were 16.
I know.
And it's like, maybe I was 15 and you were 16. And I think about any responsible business owner having two 16-year-olds walk into their joint being like, yeah, can we do this thing which is potentially illegal and is going to cause you problems?
Yeah. Well, that's why the only people that like bit were people that took advantage of it, right? So you had that one lady at Laser Star that was just pulling off the top. Yeah. But she was an adult that somehow talked to Laser Star. Like, who the fuck was that lady? Now that I think about it.
Marianne.
Something like
Marie.
that. Yeah, something like that. And it was just like, there was this lady around that was like, kind of like the go-between, but she had zero to do with anything.
We were able to go around her anyway after a long time. Yeah, eventually. I think you booked directly there with the owner. I did.
Well, I just went and got a job there. That's what I did.
Oh, that's right.
I went and just started working there because then we could get around her. I was like, this is bullshit. I don't know who this lady is. And then it was like, you're fucking out, dude. I teach laser tag.
That's right.
And I'm booking the show. And then I started doing security too. Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah,
that's great. Yeah, that came out of necessity. Our bands weren't really getting booked on any other local shows, so I think you know, you and I have always had like a very, you could call it DIY, but I would say it's more of like a go-getter. You know, if we want to do something, we didn't let anybody tell us no. You know, I think that was really like admirable. I think a lot of people like that came out of our scene.
Yes. There's a big DIY thing. I think that, you know, you mentioned Nick Ulmer. He was another one.
Yep.
You know, that there's a bunch of people that came out doing that, and do your own records, do whatever.
Yeah, and you know, it's because we had the drive to do it. And again, we weren't going to let anybody say no to us. We were going to do our bands, we were going to play our shows, and we were going to put our records out. It was great.
Yeah, and we kind of built that scene from scratch.
Oh, well, you know, I don't know. I mean, we had. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't. It's kind of weird to take credit from that. But you know what though? You know what we had.
Fuck it.
Well,
where's Oxnard Hardcore without the Standing Ground, the Voice of Defiance in fucking playing Laser Star?
Well, I gotta say, is we were definitely, as far as age and as far as music, we were definitely not part of the original Nardcore culture, right? Because we were too young to go to those shows.
Sure.
And, you know, when we started going to shows, we were 13, 14, 15, 16, whatever. Those guys were probably already in their mid to late 20s. They weren't, you know, they would hang out with us at the show, but we weren't hanging out with those guys like, you know, on Silver Strand Beach or wherever they would fucking hang out with. We were like very divided, but there were a lot of cool guys from that scene who definitely, I think, helped our attitude. Like someone like Joe Rivas.
Absolutely. The Joe Rivases, the Fred Hammers.
Yes,
and Tony Cortez.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, even just like, I remember Voice playing Laser Star and Tony showing up.
Yeah.
And it just gives you so much validation, like, oh, I'm on the right path.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the most validating thing, when you could get another musician who you like look up to, admire, listen to, whatever, to come out here and kind of give a stamp of approval on what you're doing.
Yeah, and not be bored.
Yeah.
You know? Because, I don't know, dude. I don't know if I'm going and watching, like, a 16-year-old's band play 20 minutes. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I guess I still do. but but it's weird, because, like, you get older, you get a little more choosy about the shows you go to, and then, like, I don't know if you've ever had this happen, but, like, you show up at a show and, like, you're the oldest one by, like, at least 10 years.
Dude,
that shit's fucked up.
Since I had kids, my involvement going to shows, like, I had kids when I was 30.
Yeah.
And my involvement since then, I just don't really go to too many local shows anymore, or really any shows too much anymore. Like, maybe I'll go to 5 shows a year that I'm not playing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like, I would go, I guess. I would definitely go if it was in my hometown. I mean, I live in South Corona. Like,
bring back the showcase,
dude. We were Nails was on tour, and we had and this person Gabe came with us. A really cool guy, and he lives near Corona. And I was telling him, I'm like, just break in there and throw a fucking show,
dude.
I mean, why can't you just open the back door, get a generator, invite, you know, whoever you could invite, and have a show? It gets shut down. What's going to happen to you?
Did nothing ever take the place of it? Like, there's not like a nail salon or something in there?
No.
Oh, that's crazy.
I heard that the city had plans to demolish that as soon as all of the businesses were out of there and make condos. I don't know if that's true. I haven't confirmed that, but that's what I heard.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I mean, that'd be cool if the city turned it into a youth center or something. I mean, it's already built out. It's perfect.
I heard that basically the owners just took their shit and left. So their stage is still there, the stairway, everything's still there. But anyway. Yeah.
Do you feel like you come into your like proper songwriting in the later Stand Your Ground? Like the last demo we did, like the music is pretty well thought out. Like, you're writing good songs.
I think the first good thing I ever did was that demo with you and Tony and Chris Grande.
Yeah.
I think that was the first thing that I think that's probably one of the first things all of us ever did that I think was wow, you know what, this is it's still very of the time, but I listened to it the other day and I was like, you know what, this is not bad for 17 and 18-year-olds. It's pretty. It had energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because I think that was a time when the way I look at it is like, you know, humans learn to evolve by watching other people do things and just mimicking them. And I think when you're 13 and, you know, you're in your teenage years, it's basically what you're trying to do in a band as well. You're just trying to. We were just trying to have a piece of our own.
Yeah.
We saw all the hardcore scenes that were going on and on the East Coast and wherever else. And we were just, because that was primarily what I liked, music from that area. I assume it's the same thing for you, I believe. But we just wanted a piece of that for ourselves, right? And so we were mimicking things and we just doing whatever it is we thought we were supposed to be doing. But I think on that recording is when we learned this has to have this kind of energy. It has to have these kind of like, it was less about like having a sing along or having a mosh part. And it was more about like, dude, this song needs to have energy. This song needs to move.
Well, if you think about it, like the influence on that recording are pretty stupid. It's like that Visual Discrimination Comeback 7-inch and like
that record's still good.
Yeah, and like the Clubberlang demo. I'm trying to think of like all the weird like influences on that recording. It's like it's the first one where you're drawing in from a bunch of stuff, not just like Tenor Fight and 97A and then the old stuff.
Yeah, I think so. Like that, I was super into all that stuff, like Floor Punch and stuff like that. But I think that was probably the first recording where, it was probably more varied. And as opposed to sounding like a particular band, it was more about just having a particular energy as opposed to mimicking something,
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that last recording, I think it's still kind of slamming.
I know. I wish we weren't so silly with the lyrics. Aaron was right.
Oh.
Whatever. What are you going to do?
Those are the things that were important to us at that time.
Just to be so young and angry and stupid. But whatever.
Yeah.
I still believe most of it. Then you joined Carry On. And is that strange going from like you're doing your band and like being the sole songwriter to... Did you join right during the second 7-inch? Like was it already written? The Line Is Drawn?
Yeah, that was already recorded actually. But back to that, man, I never felt like Stand Your Ground was like my band or anything. Like I felt that you and I were very equal in regards to that. After Aaron left, like I felt like you and I were like steering the ship. Actually, more so you because you were the guy that was kind of getting us the shows. You
got us all the Floor Punch shows. So I mean, that's kind of the biggest there was.
I guess
all 5 Floor Punch shows on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Or whatever. 4 of the 5, right?
4 of the 5, yeah. You went to the Northern California one. I didn't go to that one, but I went to all the other ones.
That one was pretty sick and legendary.
Yeah, I saw the pictures.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
Carry On, I joined Carry On Thanksgiving of 1999. I was, Corey worked at Kinko's, which is now known as FedEx, and I would just go there to hang out with him and stuff like that while on his work shifts and use the computer and whatnot. And Ryan called Corey and advised him that basically Jordan, in order to keep his health insurance, he needed to do well in college. And in order to do well in college, he had to stop playing music. So they asked me to join the band. And The Line Is Drawn had been recorded that summer already. It came out in January or February of 2000. And I just joined the band, and I was super happy to join the band because at the time they were like one of my favorite bands, like not just locally, but I was so excited about what Carry On was doing.
Yeah, that was a fun 7-inch, and I liked the first one too.
Stabbed in the Face.
Yeah, what was it? There was like one song on there that was sick as fuck. Pride.
Yeah. Straight Edge for Life. Faded for Life. I have a live set of you singing along to that.
I know. I wish I had that. I think that
I can give it to
Corey
you.
had it too, right?
Corey has it. Yeah, I sent it to Corey a couple of years
put it
ago.
out, dude. Put it out as bootleg.
Well,
that was that living room show, right?
Yeah,
and that's all that middle shit that gets. Did you write that stuff?
No.
Okay,
so between Stabbed in the Face and between Line Is Drawn, before Corey joined the band, it was Ryan, Jordan Johnson on guitar, Josh Luce on bass, and I forget his name, but he was on drums and he was a really good drummer. But he was from the same area, Tascadero, and they had written a whole bunch of stuff between Stabbed in the Face and Line Is Drawn that never got properly recorded.
Yes.
And it's at that living room show, and I have the recording of it. There's a ton of songs, but this is the thing with that. Like I have no entitlement over that. So I had the tape and I gave it to Ryan. I said, hey, this is yours. Like you should contact Sean from Youngblood and see if Youngblood would want to put this out.
Yeah.
And they were talking about it. I don't know if it is still a thing that's happening.
When is the last time you listened to that?
Oh, like 6 months ago.
Okay. It's good, right?
It's really good.
Yeah, like those songs I remember, because that's a really interesting like transition, because they went straight from kind of like doing a more metallic hardcore to going full on Youth Crew. And so that's sick, that middle space.
Well, I also
like when they're transitioning.
I also think it was a case similar to how that last Stand Your Ground recording where we sort of learned how to write songs. I feel like they kind of went through the same thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, it had a ton of energy. And I can email it to you after we get off this.
I need it. I remember there was one song on there that was like one of my favorite songs. I can't remember though.
Yeah, the Corey joined the band, and then they wrote Line Is Drawn, and they were like, oh, these are now old songs. We got these new songs, so we're going to put our new songs out. And I think those songs just got lost to time.
I know that's crazy because there's definitely there would be an appetite for that stuff still, right?
Yeah, I think if that came out, like I think people would be super into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that Burn, the second 7-inch, like The Last Great Sea, that came out like 10 years after they recorded it, right?
Yep, that's true.
Yeah. Make it happen, fool.
Well,
I guess you're right. It's not yours. Not yours.
Yeah.
So the first time that you do the songwriting, though, for Carry On is Roll with the Punches.
Yeah, that was the first, and that's true.
And you come in, and obviously, like by this time, you're a guitar juggernaut.
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
Oh, come on! Compared to like most like youth crewy guitarists,
well,
you're
I mean,
a good guitarist.
Well, I don't. Oh, I see what you're saying. Like, I would say my guitar skills were acceptable. Yeah,
you're in like the top 5% of guitarists by that point. No?
Well, nobody knew who I was at that time still, though.
I know. So you break them off with the fucking speed pick. Even the first 10 seconds, you're like, what up, dude?
Dude, that song, the Roll with the Punches song, Corey and I, for some reason, drove down to Orange County in rush hour traffic on a Friday, met up with Dave Mandel. Dave Mandel took us back to his house, and he was just showing us some of the records that he was putting out before they came out. And he played that Count Me Out record, 110. And I was blown away. Do you like that record?
Yeah, dude. I mean, sonically, it's perfect.
Okay.
Lyrically, it's interesting.
Okay.
Because every single song is funny. It's funny to me because every single song he says ourself, myself, yourself.
Okay. Yeah.
But I mean, sonically, it's one of the best sounding hardcore records ever.
I think it's I agree. It's
and
really
I love that song. It's like at the end of the record, it's like I call it like the Blue Oyster Cult mosh part. It cuts out and it sounds like he's going into like Don't Fear the Reaper.
You're right. Yeah, the open notes.
Yeah, he like does like Don't Fear the Reaper, but then it's a mosh part. Oh my god, this is fucking brilliant. You know.
But we went back to our apartment because we lived together, and I was just sitting there in our living room together. And Corey was watching TV or playing Tony Hawk, and I was sitting there playing guitar for like 2 hours. And I looked over at him. I'm like, "How's this sound?" He's like, "It's cool." So. We all got in a room and organized it and put the song together. And it was at that time. It's like I can't remember ever making a conscious decision like I'm going to put forth all this effort to try to write music for this band. I just think that when Carry On was going, I think maybe the creative guitar people were Josh Luce and Jordan.
And they were both gone.
Well, Jordan quit the band, but Josh at the time when I joined the band, Josh either couldn't make it to LA when we were rehearsing, or he was off. I think he joined the Army.
That's what happened. Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah. I think that he would have left because in Standing Ground, when we broke up, we played 2 final shows without you. And Josh played with us. That's
right.
And I think that he joined the military right after.
Directly after. So Josh was like kind of gone. I think we put his name in the 7-inch because we didn't have a bass player.
Side story, the First In Control tour, we actually went out to go see to Arlington Cemetery. We were out there so we could see him. Because he was the guard that was guarding the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier.
That's right.
So you could go out and like see him. We're like, Posy Josh, that's so sick.
Posy Josh. Did you guys talk with him at that?
No, you can't. Oh. He is very like, dude. Okay. That's guarding the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier is like so fucking serious.
Okay.
Yeah, because like that's like you're honoring every single person that died in war.
Gotcha.
That like wasn't. You don't have a name for them.
Sure.
So it is very serious. And so you can't be like, "What's up, Posy Josh?"
So did you guys go like point at him, wave, and then
No, just in the back, and we're like, "Oh, that's cool. Like that's what he's up to."
Oh, yeah.
We didn't have a cell phone then or anything to be able to like text
Take a picture,
him. Yeah. Text him and be like, "Hey, let's get a beer later," or whatever. But so that's sick. The 7-inch comes out, and then do you remember why he did it on Teamwork instead of Youngblood?
At that time, bands didn't really. I can't say the bands really stuck on labels. We weren't. It's not like we were on Youngblood. I mean, you remember?
No, I know, but it just seemed like Youngblood would have wanted to like get the next one. Because the first one was well received. It went into multiple presses.
Yeah, we did. I don't know. I can't remember at the time. I don't think we thought about it in that way. I think we were just like, let's do a 7-inch on Teamwork now.
You're just like, the Youngblood guys are too nice. I want to be on a Cocksuckers label.
Oh man. Oh yeah. Chris was Chris. He
whatever.
Yeah.
He's like one of the only guys who was ever mean to me.
He was an impatient dickhead.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much what it came down to. He was an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just funny because I've been snubbed by very few people in my life, which I feel very fortunate for. So the people that do it, it's like, why be a dick? I mean, what a shitty fucking energy to throw out to the world.
And you know what? That's his karma for doing that. You know what I mean? Because remember when the Floor Punch guys came? They were super cool. They introduced us to Straight Ahead and hung out with us,
Breakdown.
and talked with us. Breakdown, dude. And then you have someone like Chris Kelly who comes from the same area, and it's like 20 years later, it's like here we are in a room talking trash on him. It's like that's karma for you, man. You were a fucking dick. You were entitled, and you were kind of fucking rude to people. So here you go.
We're like. Yeah, I guess you're right. Like the Floor Punch guys, fuck. How could you say anything bad about them? Those guys
they were
nice.
So rad. They were just fucking cool, and they were cool to younger kids, and so there you go. But yeah, Teamwork. I looking back on it, we probably should have put it out with Youngblood. I mean, just out of loyalty, but also because you're right, they did do a good job, and it didn't make sense to quote unquote leave.
But Teamwork was sick at that point, right? We liked every single record.
I loved every.
That had to be why.
Yeah, right? Of course. Yeah, Ryan and Corey and I mean everybody was. You were, Josh was. I mean, we were very into Teamwork records and Youngblood records. Yeah. So I think it was just like
you did one here, let's do one here.
We didn't. The thing is with Carry On, it's like we didn't. I mean, we wanted to do things, but when you thought about your own hardcore band back then, there was a very low ceiling. It's not like there was a lot of opportunity for bands to really do anything. Like to put out a full length would have been like some Godhead level shit.
Do you think?
At that time, that's what I thought. I'm pretty sure.
That's weird because that's like I would think. Then if that was your mentality at that time, that's like the one time in your life you ever had like that like limited thinking.
In regards to hardcore and music, yeah, I think so. Because think about it, our bands were playing shows like Carry On and In Control. Like when we would play shows at the PCH Club, if we were like up on the bill, we were probably playing shows of 40 or 60 people.
Sure.
Like In Control and Carry On in California played a lot of shows to 50 people, and some people listening to this might think, "Oh my God, I can't believe it!" Like. If I was at an In Control show now, there'd be hundreds of people there. Carry On show now, there'd be hundreds of people there. But our bands played shows to a lot of fucking. We played a lot of small shows, which I'm not complaining about. But we were never accepted by some of the bands who, like from Orange County, who had shows at the Showcase Theater where there's 500, 600 people there.
Maybe we just came a tad bit later, though.
We were too late and too early.
I want to say first off. It wasn't just those. It was like basically every band from our genre, right? Like Life's Halt, No Reply. We all played small shows.
Yeah.
Right? Like that whole scene didn't break through. It was very PCH, 60-person thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then as far as me thinking we came a little late, maybe you're right. Too late or too early. But we were just a little late on that, dude. And also, I'm not an outgoing person. You were more outgoing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you could have done it, but you had barely just put out the 7-inch.
Yeah.
Right? So like can't expect everything right away.
No, I guess not. But I think my vision at the time was like I was still just trying to have a piece of something for myself and my friends.
Yeah, because In My Eyes broke through. I mean, I know they're East Coast, but like they would come out and play like it would be like Adamantium Throwdown and In My Eyes. Right?
Yeah.
So I think that like Carry On could have done that at that time with an LP.
With an LP, you're probably right. Yeah, I was probably just short-sighted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's weird. I think that's the only time in your life you ever like, I don't think this can happen. Because any other time you think about it and do it.
I wonder if it was, I don't think it could happen versus just like, I was just trying to, I only looked as far ahead as the next thing in front of me. Like I didn't have like a big vision. My big vision was sound like Chain of Strength and play shows to my friends and hopefully do support for, the East Coast bands when they came through that we liked. You know what I mean?
Yeah, was not breaking through into the showcase scene like the impetus of the Fuck California labels.
I'm sure that I don't know. I don't think that had anything to do with it. I just don't think that scene really cared about us.
Is that on every press?
Yeah, I mean, there's only one press. I think there was 2,007 or 2,200 copies of that. They're all on black, and then a couple hundred on blue.
Yeah, because that was weird, right? Because we're talking about building up like the scene and stuff.
Well, me and Ryan were very bitter. We were very resentful. Like Ryan and I were extremely resentful because we knew, or at least we felt, that Carry On was a great band.
Yeah.
Like we were really into what we were doing, and it wasn't like we had an ego about it, whereas we were like, we're the fucking shit, everyone should bow down to us. We were just like, dude, we know we're a good band. Why can't we just play some shows with some of these other straight edge hardcore bands around here that are drawing hundreds of kids? Like, why aren't they interested in that? And he's a
little older too, so he may have even had more perspective of like, dude, I've been going to hardcore shows for this long. Like, our band's fucking good.
Yeah, I mean, that's true too. Ryan is 4 or 5 years older than me, I believe. I think he was born in '76. But yeah, I mean, we just wanted opportunity. We wanted a shot to play some of the bigger shows, and we just never really got it.
But you made friends with like all the Throwdown guys. Did you just do that too late?
Oh, well, I made friends with all the Orange County guys, and all the Throwdown guys went out after I was in Terror.
Oh.
Like a year after I was in Terror. No, that's not true. Terror toured with Throwdown the fall of 2002, and that's when I met all those guys and became buddies with them.
Did you ever ask their perspective on that?
Nope.
Yeah, because I mean, you may have just not been on the radar, period.
Nah, Carry On was a very... At that time when I was in Terror, I had like a lot of negative feelings about Carry On because of the way the band ended. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Ryan stopped being straight edge, and I think, and you know, it's not like everything was Ryan's fault, but I think maybe me and Ryan weren't really getting along too well at that time. Yeah, I'm not trying to point fingers, but the band ended, and
well, we're gonna get into all of it.
Oh, okay, cool.
No, but go on.
But the band ended, and I just talking about Carry On and thinking about Carry On wasn't really like something that was like very positive in my mind at the time.
Especially when you're doing something off the charts sick.
Well, I was in Terror.
Yeah, the beginning of Terror, when like literally from you going from like bummed I can't get on the show to like I'm starting this band and sky is the limit.
Oh, Terror had every opportunity.
Yeah,
my first
and deservedly so.
Oh yeah, sure, okay, yeah. I mean, Scott had, yeah. I mean, it was fun. It was a lot of fun in regards to that. Like my first European tour was on a bus. Yeah, like that's cool.
Yeah, that's super sick.
Yeah.
So Carry On after It's All Our Blood 7-inch or Roll with Punches. You do It's All Our Blood. That's the CD.
Yeah, that's a compilation.
Both 7 inches plus the song from Graham's
Memories of Tomorrow comp and Graham's all the.
So 2 comp songs.
That's right.
Okay.
No. Graham's comp song wasn't on that. No, it wasn't on that. That comp song is just left on that comp.
So the Skate or Die comp song. What was it?
Was Carry On that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I made a lot of notes, but I can't write War and Peace. So let's talk about going and doing the LP, because this is something that you took a lot of time on. You flew out East Coast.
We did.
So let's talk about how it starts. Because obviously, that's a big jump, and so you've discussed it with people, right? So do you meet Chris from Bridge 9?
Yeah. So the way that started was American Nightmare was coming out to California for the first time, and their first show was in Bakersfield at Jerry's Pizza. I think In Control played that show.
I think so. Did you meet Wes when he was out with 10 Yard Fight?
Well, yeah, of course we met
booked
Wes.
the 10 Yard Fight show.
Yeah. Well, we did. I did. One of us did.
Okay.
We booked the 10 Yard Fight show in August of 1998. It was 10 Yard Fight, Fast Break, Carry On, Stand Your Ground.
But I think only those 2 played because there wasn't enough time.
The PA showed up late. Remember, we had problems with the PA, and so Stand Your Ground and Carry On couldn't play.
Okay.
So the PA finally comes, Fast Break plays, and 10 Yard Fight plays. During 10 Yard Fight, Wes and one of his other buddies, who at the time was roading for 10 Yard Fight, were almost about to get into it with Fred Hammer.
Okay.
10 Yard Fight stuff. It's on video. You can go check out the Laser Star video on YouTube. It's on YouTube, rather.
Yeah. I remember seeing one of them spit on David, and I'm glad he didn't notice that.
Oh, David Oatsnero?
No, David Black?
Oh, that would have been that would have ended
that
very
Ray dude
spit
on him.
Yeah, that would have ended very poorly for them. Yeah.
Because that Ray dude was friends with Zarian and shit.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, weird tangent.
Yeah.
Okay, so American Nightmare comes out here.
American Nightmare comes out here, and we play with them. I met Wes, but I don't think that thing. I mean, I met Wes and became pals with Wes, but I can't remember if we ever talked about that incident happening. But we met all those dudes at that show, and Chris was with them. Chris from Bridge 9.
Oh, word.
And after we played the show, Chris was like, "Yeah, I'd love to do a record with you guys." And we were like, "Oh, that's fucking awesome. We would love to do an album." Because, dude, we wanted nothing more. Carry On wanted nothing more than to be on Indecision Records. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't happening.
Did you tell Mandel?
I told him after the fact. I mean, we told him. Corey told him. I told him. And I don't think he really knew Ryan. But during the time, we told him we love Indecision. Like, I don't know if we just straight up said, "Yo, we love Indecision. We want to be on the label." It was more like...
Well, I had to be that straightforward.
I know you did.
I went over and I showed him I had an In Control tattoo. And I was like, "Here, I'm not going to break up." And then I also said, like, I'd saved up money for the first LP. And I was like, "If you put this out, I'll buy a van with this money. And we'll go tour on the LP." You know? And then he was on board. Although cool. I think Daniel thinks that Daniel got us on All the Way.
Oh, really?
But then Daniel could have gotten you on All the Way if that was the...
I found out later that... years later, that Dave didn't really... Dave didn't like our band. Well, he liked our band, but there was somebody in the band he didn't like.
Okay, I won't make you say it.
I'll tell you afterwards.
Okay. Well, where's a fucking pen? I'm gonna forget. Oh, you don't forget.
No, I won't forget.
All right,
but he
very well.
Yeah,
so Chris comes out here and struck the lottery. He sees Carry On like in the prime, and he's like, "Oh, they're not on a label. Let's do a record."
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I mean, you remember at the time, Bridge 9 wasn't really... They were the label that had just put out American Nightmare, and American Nightmare 7-inch was... Not only was it good, but the packaging on that thing was fucking next level. Like, I don't think... Like, that's one of the things that I think a lot of people don't realize is how shitty packaging was on records prior to that era happening for hardcore. Like it was not uncommon to buy a 7-inch that had a cover made at Kinko's, just straight up copied off the machine.
Especially if you bought it from me.
Yeah, like we did
or
that
you.
shit. Yeah. So, hey, we were 16. We didn't have any fucking money.
No, I know.
We didn't come from families with money, but yeah. So they had. I mean, it was just like, wow, this American Nightmare is good. The 7-inch is fucking awesome. Like we would like, yeah, this sounds like a fit for us. This sounds like we're Carry On should do an album. So they played 4 shows out here, and the last show was in Santa Cruz. In Control played that one.
We did.
It was Time in Malta.
Yeah.
Remember that?
I don't remember anything about it except I literally just saw that flyer like last week.
Yeah.
So weird.
Yeah, you guys played the show. I remember watching your set, and we discussed with Chris after the show. It's like, yeah, well, let's do an album. And so that was December 30th, 2000, and by April 15th, we were at God City Studios in Salem, Massachusetts. So the 4 months later, we were recording our record. Yeah.
So, and like, had you been writing the whole time since the 7-inch?
Yeah, man. That was actually the thing with Carry On is between recording we recorded that Teamwork 7-inch in like June of 2000, and then we were back in the studio April 2001. So if you think about that, that's only like 10 months.
That's insane. Plus, is Lucas living here?
No.
So who are you playing with? Like,
well, that's the problem. So a lot of time that Carry On spent was teaching fill-in bass players, fill-in drummers how to play the songs.
Yeah.
That was like the bummer of Carry On.
Yeah.
Was we didn't have like a steady group of members. Lucas... I don't remember the exact details, but he ended up being our drummer, and he came out, I think, on 2 separate occasions for like 2 weeks at a time to write a record and prepare a record. Now, prior to those American Nightmare shows, I think we had like 2 or 3 songs that we could have, recorded at that time. And then in January and April, I think we really got busy and just started, trying to write as much music as we could. I don't remember a lot of it. One thing I do remember is 2 things in regards to writing music that I remember. The first song on the record was written on the last day of drum tracking.
Wow.
Because we needed a 12th song. We didn't have a 12th song. And I was like,
Why do you need a 12 song?
The album was super rushed, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to tell you this was the last songs, we just didn't have a 12th song. And me and Ryan, Youth of Today had 12-song albums, so we had to have a 12th song.
So you feel like that's
album.
what you have to hit?
At that time, we were like, we need that. You know what I mean? Like 6 songs on a side, 2 7-inches. One 7-inch was 6 songs.
Sure.
I thought that was a standard for the music we played. And so I was like, what are you going to do? And Ryan just started, let's have something super spastic, blah, blah, blah. And me and him sat together, and we figured it out, and we jammed it, and it all worked out. But the night before we went to go fly, we only had like 8 songs, and we wrote like 3 songs the night before we went to go fly. Yeah, and it was just we all got together with all the riffs and at Ryan's house on Curson in Hollywood, and we listened to a bunch of records we liked and showed our riffs and put the songs together.
That's some of the best stuff, though, right? Because you're under the gun
sometimes,
and also like you're right sometimes, but I feel like sometimes it's the best is because you got to go. So you can't think too much about it. It's not overworked, and it's just like, you're like, YOLO.
And sometimes it's your most interesting stuff.
Yeah, because do something that sounds sick. You can take a risk, and there you go.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it worked out for us. I mean, I look back on that album.
It's a third of your record being written.
It's a what?
That's a third of your record being written at the very last minute.
Yeah, that's true.
Of a record that people consider like a classic, right?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to hear that. I hate to say that it's like so last minute. I mean, it's just like I said, we didn't have a lot of time to spend like rehearsing, I guess. And I don't know. I mean, people seem to like that record. I heard a band from St. Louis the other day, and they straight up opened their song with a fast tremolo picking harmonic. I was like, they must like Carry On. And they sounded like that. I can't remember their name, but it was cool. I was psyched to hear that. And dude, I love talking about Carry On. I'm super psyched. Nobody ever really does it, but if anybody came up to me and wanted to talk about Carry On, I could talk about it for hours. Yeah.
Well, because there was a long time, like you said a little earlier, that you were negative on it.
Yeah, I was negative on it.
Let's talk about all the happy stuff first.
Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, so this is the first time you're in like a real studio, right? Or how
let me think about that.
Like, roll with the punches. Where do you record that at?
Down here with that guy Jeff, Double Time Studios.
Oh yeah, in El Cajon.
Did you ever record with that guy?
We did another year there.
Okay, there you go. So,
and yours came out better.
Well, we
had no idea what we were doing.
We had no idea what we were doing either, and to attest to that is we recorded that Teamwork 7-inch there. Uh-huh. We did it in 2 days. We went back 6 months later and recorded we re-recorded Line As Drawn and like a bunch of other new songs that we were working on, and we tried to do that in the same amount of time, and it sounded like shit. We just didn't know what we were doing. And like you probably, I assume, in Control probably did a lot in a short amount of time as well.
I had no idea. Yeah, I mean, I think we took 3 days.
Yeah, for an album, like that's at the time that made sense because we weren't going to spend more than like $1,500 or $2,000 on a record. But now it's like if you were to go back and do it a full length at a studio, you'd probably want to spend like 5 days at minimum, 6 days at minimum.
Yeah, it was just weird, and it was also I'd never not recorded with either one of my friends or with John Lyons. Okay. And so it was weird being in somewhere and having some guy kind of like tell me what to do. Like I did like 4 guitar tracks. Yeah. And like if it's okay to like give someone that idea, but I think he needed to tell me a little more, like, because I wasn't thinking about, okay, I need to play the same thing 3 times and do like one different track, Because otherwise it's just too muddy with like me not playing it perfect every time,
No, and that's you bring up a good point, because we were recording with a guy who he was considerably older than us and didn't have any interest in hardcore. His experience in recording hardcore bands was the bands that have come to him previously. Yeah. Like I think in our era, there wasn't a lot of folks who knew how to record hardcore.
No.
And that was a problem for us.
I agree. Which is kind of why I think that Carry On record like broke things kind of open, right? That and the American Nightmare, like the first recordings of like the next generation of good sounding hardcore stuff.
Yeah, the Youth Crew kind of noisier kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I guess all the Floor Punch and the MIS stuff all sounded good. You could hear everything.
Those bands always recorded at good studios. Like that In My Eyes stuff was recorded at the same place the Count Me Out record was recorded. Floor Punch album was recorded at the same place Hatebreed album was recorded.
Yeah, crazy.
They had it's like they had way better options in regards of people who knew how to record bands that sounded like that.
Yeah, like the Battery guy recorded people.
Yep, that was a guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's wild. Okay, so you go in and you spend how
2
long?
weeks,
2 weeks,
straight up 14 days.
Sick.
I mean, it was. I don't want to say it was boring, but there was a lot of downtime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When would you consider the downtime? Just like of him mixing things down?
Yeah.
Or like because you played everything, I assume, right?
No, I mean, Corey played his guitars. I played my guitars. I played the bass. We didn't have a bass. That's not true. So prior to us doing that album, we had gotten Jeff Newman from In My Eyes on bass.
Okay.
He had moved out to California, and he played like 1 or 2 shows with us. We're like, all right, we're going to record an album. He's like, oh, I have this trip I'm going to go on with my buddy, and we're going to go out to Southeast Asia. Can't go record with you guys. Yeah. Okay, no problem. So we go out there. I recorded the bass, and then when we came home, he wasn't straight edge anymore. So that was that was the end of his tenure in Carry On.
Well, that's so short.
Yeah.
That's like Abe Simpson, like when he walks into the strip club and right back out.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my first time in the studio.
You let Corey do his tracks?
It's not that I let him do his tracks. He was in the band.
I know, but like I don't know. I would have thought that at the time you would have wanted it to be like perfect.
I mean maybe, but Corey definitely recorded on that record. I mean, I remember watching him play. Yeah, he brought his he had that blue Les Paul Gem.
It's a pretty guitar.
Yeah, that was a fucking dope guitar.
He got good at guitar like really quick.
Yeah,
because when he joined Carry On, he was not a good guitarist yet.
Well,
and then it went like this.
I mean, he had a guitar. When we met him, he had a guitar, and then we asked him, like, dude, you have a really cool guitar, and you're really awesome, and you like really cool hardcore that we've never heard. Like, he exposed me to a lot of shit.
And big jumps.
And he had cool stage presence, awesome fucking stage presence. And so he joined Stand Your Ground, and I mean, he wasn't the best guitar player, but he did, like, you're right, in that short amount of time, going from Stand Your Ground to Carry On, he did considerably get better at guitar. He was playing. Some of those Carry On songs were pretty technical too. Like he was playing with some pretty good people. So he definitely got his chops up for sure. But he played on that album. He did a good job. And I played the bass and the guitars. And I was there. I was the one guy who was there the whole time.
Oh, they came in, like they come and do their part and leave?
I don't think it was necessarily like supposed to be like that. It was just, I think dudes, I don't know. I can't remember, man. That was like almost 20 years ago.
Who was there for the mixing though?
I don't remember. I mean, we were, Corey and me and Ryan and Lucas, we were there till the end. Like, we were all there until the end. Like, it wasn't, again, we were very young. We didn't know, like, well, maybe, I don't need to be there for this long, so I'm going to go home. Like, we were just like, oh, we're going to go record for 2 weeks. Here we are. I don't necessarily remember that, but, I don't know that we recorded. That was definitely probably the first like major like recording studio I recorded at. Yeah, that's true.
And then from you recording it to it coming out, do you remember how long it took?
Yes, because that was a big grievance on
it was part. Forever, right?
Yeah, it was like we finished the recording at the end of April 29th, and the record didn't come out till the first week of October. So that was like 6 months. In
hindsight, that's not that bad though.
It's not. I mean, it's 6 months. I mean, that's. Recently, that was like a standard, but if you have all your ducks in a row, you, like a label like Bridge 9 or any of those other labels can get a record out in 3 months. But the problem is having all that shit lined up. Like, you have to have mastering lined up right after you're done recording. You have to have the album cover and the artwork and all that shit turned in. But like typically, I think 3 months it takes for an album to come out. But we didn't have all that stuff. We didn't know what we were doing. We hired Jake Bannon to do the layout, and he did it. But it wasn't one of those things where, it was done a week after the record was done being recorded. Everything, it came out in October and it was fine. But when you're that age, it's just 6 months seems like fucking eternity.
Totally. I know, like, when you talked about the last version of Standing Around with just you and me, I mean, that couldn't have been more than 6 months.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
It's weird, like, when you're younger, time just... I don't know, maybe it's because they're doing so much that's so different. It feels like it's a lot longer. Yeah. Where, like, when you get older, it's like a year just goes by and you're like, what did I do this year?
I think it has a lot to do with, like, we're experiencing things for the first time.
Yeah.
And
you have a bunch more tentpole moments.
Yeah.
Like, of the year. Like, oh, this happened, instead of went to work.
Yeah.
5
years passes and you blinked.
Yeah. And you guys are excited for this record, right? Because I remember like everyone playing it like in their cars. You got to come over the car and listen to Carry On.
We fucking love the record.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that. I still like. I loved that record up until we played our last shows or whatever until 2005. I still like it, but I remember listening at like between like that those last shows we did gave me a lot of closure. But I mean, I remember from the time we recorded that record up until like. I mean, I still love the record. There was a time when I listened to it a lot for like years.
Yeah, you left Lucas off the stuff, and that was just a straight mistake.
That was a mistake, yeah, because we put him in the credits for sure.
Yeah,
it was just something that got lost. That got corrected though on future pressings.
Oh, sick!
Yeah.
I only know the original press, fool.
Like, no represses.
Yeah. So, is the popularity taking off a little bit more?
Well, dude, this is a problem. You know, the record came out in October, so that's when people started hearing it. You know, those were not the days of leaked records,
right?
Or at least our record didn't leak. So the record comes out in October while we're on tour. We had a week-long tour with Hope Conspiracy, Over My Dead Body, No Warning played a couple shows, and the fucking Death Threat. And that was on the East Coast, and we played those shows, and people were really excited about us. Yeah, we got like we were like 1 out of 4, but people showed up and people were into it. I mean, we were doing numbers of merch that I couldn't fucking believe.
Yeah,
like, I was like, oh my god, this is crazy. That was like probably the first time I've ever experienced like a band I was in. People like it on a bigger scale of just outside Southern California.
Yeah,
you know. So
sure.
So that was good, but then you know. I can't remember why, but we didn't really have anything lined up after that. The last show we played was in December with Converge at the Troubadour. It was Converge, Hope Conspiracy, American Nightmare, Planes Mistaken for Stars, and we opened the show, and that was the last show we played. And at that time, Ryan was pretty like obviously not straight edge. I don't think he was like. He called me in August of 2001, said, "Hey dude, got something to tell you. I'm not straight edge." I was like, okay. Like I worked, like I had a job, and my job was to fund my band. Like all I wanted to do was my band. I just wanted to have money so I could have a good amp, a good guitar, and like Carry On was like what I looked forward to doing. And just right there, it's just like all that work that we put into the album, and before it's even out, it's like, yo, this can't happen. Like
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it sucked.
That's crazy. That's crazy, right?
It fucking sucked. And I was just like, well, I mean...
Did he break right before that tour?
I mean, yeah, because he called me in August, so I assume it happened in August or July. And actually, that's not true. I called him to confirm that tour that we were doing in October. I was like, all right, we got this tour. We're doing this tour. Can you do it? He's like, oh, got something to tell you. I'm not straight edge. Like, right. Call. And
you knew months before.
Yeah, I mean, I knew months before, and I didn't tell anybody. I called up Chris Wren and told him from Bridge 9. I said, look, this is a situation. And
what did he say?
And he's like, oh no, because you got to think about it. Like
he's sitting on. Well,
it's his first full length, right?
That's crazy.
It's his first full length, and
he's lucky.
His label is new at that point. Well, it's not really new, but it might as well be. It's the first time people are.
If it's the first full length, that's pretty new.
Yeah, and it costs like anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 to put out a full length. So him and I discussed. I was like, look, we're gonna do this tour. Like I'm just not gonna tell anybody. And we're going to do this tour so this record doesn't fucking tank. Like, so you don't lose your fucking ass on this. And we did that, and pretty much any momentum we had was gone. Like, I don't know if people really even found out that Ryan wasn't straight edge or what the extent of that really was, but everybody pretty much knew.
But you're saying that on that tour, you were like killing it in merch and so forth.
No, we did good. I'm saying after the tour.
Oh, yeah.
After the tour, it was because we played the record release show in Ojai on October 20th on 2001. It was with Over My Dead Body and some other bands, like Some Still Believe and some other bands. And everybody at that time, I think, knew.
But I think that maybe if you wouldn't have played those shows, you wouldn't have pushed the album in the right direction. Because obviously it recouped.
Yeah.
He still presses it, right?
Yeah. It recouped,
Which is amazing for you breaking up right away.
It is, yeah. We're very fortunate.
And maybe the record wouldn't have had that ascent if you wouldn't have played those big East Coast shows, and then those Ojai shows, people talk about them very fondly. Yeah,
it's definitely, you're right. It's definitely possible that record could have gotten lost to time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you would think not, because it's
But then that genre of music is so small, though. You know what I mean? So and if I'm a firm believer, like people talk about, you got to be on the right label. You got to be on the right label. And I'm not talking about Carry On. I'm just talking about overall. Mm-hmm. I'm a firm believer that if you're in a band and you make a good record, it might take a little bit longer for people to find out about it, but eventually people will find out about it.
I worry, dude. I mean, I think that it also has to be like now it's a little easier because
now
the vinyls. Well, the vinyl's back, but dude, I mean, two of my favorite '90s records, like that Powerhouse, No Regrets, like that's lost to time.
Yeah, that's
because it never came out on vinyl. I mean, that's like in my top 5 of the '90s, like easy.
I think that was a little bit too thuggin' for maybe the youth crew crowd.
Maybe a little too tough for the youth crew crowd, and not like tough enough for the tough guy crowd, because it has that old school sound. But that's why it's fucking perfect.
It's an awesome record. I love that record. I still listen to it.
It's insane. Like, I think that if it was on vinyl, it would be held up a little more as like, I don't know. I'm trying to get Bert DeLast to do it on vinyl.
Oh, is he doing a label?
Yeah, Bert has a label.
What's his label called?
It's funny you should ask. Bert and Aaron from Built to Last got one of the best up-and-coming hardcore labels going right now. So I'm going to shout out to them. Safe Inside Records. They got the new Time and Pressure LP coming out. The Gateway City Sound. It's pretty fucking awesome. If you're a fan of Carry On, Count Me Out, that aggressive, modern hardcore is sick. The fucking current reigning champions out of St. Louis on that style. That comes out. They're thinking it's going to ship on August 12th, 2019. So that is a pre-order right now. Or it might be out, depending on when this episode comes out. Also, they're doing the Bystander 12-inch EP, Where Did We Go Wrong? And that's a follow-up to their self-titled 7-inch on Safe Inside. And it features Greg from Trial and a bunch of other scene veterans. And it's super sick, like fast, melodic hardcore without being sorry. And it's fucking rad. And I'm gonna leave this episode with a song off that Bystander record. It's the first one off it. Where Did We Go Wrong? And tune in next week for part 2 of the Todd Jones podcast.
Are we home?